Okay, go ahead. No, now you have to sing.
Oh, I can't sing?
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Nice to see you. This is my daughter Daisy, who runs the Good Gardens seed store, which many of you have bought seeds from over the years and have written some very nice notes and posted some very nice photos.
Yes.
Well, we figured today we could talk about seed saving a little bit, landrace, gardening, answer any questions on seeds that you guys might be interested in. First of all, how long have you been running the seed business?
Oh my goodness. It's been 4.5 years now.
Well,
Yeah,
I think you started it after we moved back to the States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right after. So it's been a while.
Yeah, 4.5 years. And what would you say is your best seed, or is that proprietary information?
They can know. They're the lucky ones. Probably Everglades tomatoes.
Yeah.
Simply because they're so easy to grow and everybody loves them.
Yeah, the Everglades tomatoes are pretty much one of those bomb-proof type plants. So what Daisy's actually been doing is kind of complementary to what I do. She runs her own seed business and tends to carry mostly the kind of stuff that really thrives in our area. So if I have a landrace project or something like that and I have extra seeds, they go to Daisy's seed store. And so right now you've got some cuttings in there too.
Yes, Tithonia.
Tithonia diversifolia. And what else do you have?
It depends on what's in season. So right now, let's see, we have Tithonia. We've got Everglades in stock. We have purple amaranth, celosia. We've got the landrace corn. That's very limited, very special.
Very special, extremely ugly landrace corn.
Very ugly.
I wrote a really nice write-up for that, which she refused to
I
use.
did
She
not
said it was
approve his write-up.
off-brand.
It was not it.
I said, if you want the
didn't work.
ugliest corn in the world, that probably will grow, I guess. Something along those lines. And she's like, what are you doing?
It's landrace. It has so much potential. I was like, you have to look at all the good things about it.
It's ugly.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, man looks on the outward appearance.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
know.
sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah.
Landrace corn.
Ezekiel's landrace watermelons. Those are really big this year.
Yeah, landrace watermelons have been
They're really good.
insane. Like, the productivity of the watermelons this year has just been nuts.
It's every single day he's harvesting more watermelons.
It's actually too many watermelons. Like, we've been looking for people with large families that we can give watermelons. There's some sort of plasma creature over my head here. Do you see that?
Yeah,
What
I
is
did.
that? It's a plasma creature?
Yeah.
Alien. There was a gentleman, I don't know if he's still on my channel, but he used to freeze frame my videos and show where plasma creatures were showing up. He's like, did you realize you're surrounded by plasma creatures? And so, like, every little bit of lens blur or something, he would actually freeze frame it, and he would send me pictures of the plasma creatures. But so I guess the plasma creatures also appreciate gardening. It's probably a nice break from being ephemeral, you know. Okay, so the landrace daikons. You have the landrace daikons. You have a big bed of them right now growing.
I do, yes.
And various pumpkins. There's been various pumpkins off and on.
Yeah, we've had a lot of weird varieties of pumpkins.
Sort of the landrace Seminole
line, yeah. It's mostly machadas.
That particular line of Seminole pumpkins is the most horrifyingly prolific variety. It makes way too many pumpkins. The kids are crying about how they don't want to eat pumpkin anymore.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's like nobody wants to eat them.
They've taken over my whole garden bed multiple times.
And they plant themselves at this point. Like, the Seminole pumpkins are such a weed in the yard. They're literally they're in parts of the food forest. They're growing out of the compost piles 30, 40 feet. They're all over where the yams were last year. They're where the chickens were. They have, I guess they just dropped seeds all over the yard where they rotted or got spread around by animals and stuff. But pretty much wherever they have ended up, they've just grown more pumpkins. And it's too many pumpkins. It's horrible. We do have a pumpkin that I'm kind of excited about.
Yes, it's a very interesting pumpkin.
It has not been revealed on camera
it's a
yet.
Secret.
we have a secret pumpkin. This pumpkin is a cross between Caribbean warty pumpkins and Seminole pumpkins, and it is the most horrifyingly ugly pumpkin I have ever seen in my life.
But in a cool way.
Yeah,
It's
they
different.
they are zombie pumpkins. It looks like warty flesh with mold and bruises on it.
It's a collectible item.
Yeah, it's extremely limited, rare zombie pumpkin. It is the coolest. It's the coolest. You know, it's one of those things about saving seeds is sometimes you don't know what what you might get. You can get some interesting crosses, and that's why there's something magical to seed saving. But this variety is one that we are going to keep growing with because it literally is the ugliest, grossest looking pumpkin on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be extremely popular. It's so
We'll see.
it's like
See how it
weird,
goes.
just warts
It's
all
so
over
strange.
it, and it's like this dead flesh color.
It's
Yeah.
growing really well out in the heat, though.
Yeah, it's all tropical genes, extremely vigorous genes. So yeah, okay. So for your seed store, I put a link to her seed store up above in the chat. But you handle a lot of seeds. If you're gonna store seeds long term, what would you do?
Oh, definitely refrigerate them. I keep them all in nice big mason jars and have them all labeled. But I would get yourself a little mini fridge and keep them in there because you do not want them going bad. They're gonna go bad in a couple of years if you don't refrigerate them. Most varieties.
Yeah, the heat and the humidity, particularly in the south, really kill seeds fast.
Yeah.
So if you're saving from your own garden, we used to be really careful about not letting varieties cross. Now we pretty much have allowed a lot of things to cross on purpose for greater vigor.
They grow better.
You grow two varieties in the amaranth family, the Celosia argentea
Yes. And the purple amaranth.
and the purple amaranth.
Yeah.
Tell us about the purple amaranth.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. It gets really tall. It's gorgeous purple. It's probably about that big, the bloom. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
the blooms are like
They're so
They would
pretty.
go to a
I
florist.
would just grow them for the blooms, honestly. I mean, you can make flour from the seeds, but they're really pretty.
they're just kind of
Honestly,
yeah. And as
just
a
think
cooked
they're
vegetable, the leaves are good
You
for a
can
cooked
cook them.
vegetable.
It tastes really good, but
But she had some of them. Let's see. Last year, I think there was some of them that ended up blooming in my greenhouse,
yeah, you can't kill them.
and then they ended up in my potting soil mix somehow. And so there were purple amaranths growing across multiple pots. It's like, oh, there's one of my honey locust trees with purple amaranth growing out of the pot. There's a rose, purple amaranth growing out of the pot. There's a mulberry with purple amaranth growing out of the pot. It's like once they start, they just self-seed
Yeah,
repeatedly
they
over and
self-seed
over, over
everywhere,
again.
which
It-
is really nice. You want that.
And I think they would probably cross with all of the other amaranths, but Daisy has only grown the purple one to keep it it's a pure purple.
It is.
It's really pretty. It's like a deep red and green type of a leaf with a
Yeah.
very
You can
very
actually
striking
sell
purple.
them to the florists for a lot of money, apparently. They really like them. That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
They're expensive.
they do. All the blooms last a long time.
They're
I could
gorgeous,
see that. I've never gotten into that. My brother Brian, one of his daughters, grows flowers for floral arrangements, and she sells floral arrangements. But we've never done that. Basically, just because you can't eat most of those things. So
Yeah, you have to be able to eat it. Or
Yeah.
It's gonna die around here.
yeah, the other thing you might have to like spray them for insects and that sort of thing. Whereas amaranth does attract some bugs. You get some holes in the leaves
Yeah.
occasionally. Some of them get chewed up, but they always
Yeah.
make a big head of flowers. Usually about the time they're done making the big leaves, the leaves start to get shredded up, but the flower head is just massive, and so the bugs never seem to really keep them from making seed. But has anybody spotted the celestial watermelon gopher yet? Yeah, some people took offense to that video. Can you imagine the seedless Seedless Watermelon Cartel has been in the comments over there. It's very sad. Somebody said I had no idea what I was talking about. It's like, wow, at least somebody made an intelligent comment. So, okay, let's talk landrace.
Oh, yes.
The daikons.
Mm-hmm.
The daikons that she's growing out now, we started with Red King 2 from Johnny's, which had the really bright red ones.
Yeah.
And then mixed in multiple Japanese ones. And then I saved the seeds from those to see how they would do. And after a generation or two, Daisy asked if she could grow some of them. So you planted them out this spring. Are they flowering yet?
Not yet.
They're just... How big are those roots?
They're huge. I dug some up the other day, and they're like... they're getting really big. They're gonna start flowering. It's ridiculous.
Would you flower? I need to sell you.
Come on. No, they're huge.
It's actually kind of nice because the little... I planted salad radishes probably around the same time you planted those. And all those salad radishes, they bolt and they go to seed in like 2 months.
Yeah.
Whereas
really
the daikons are more resistant. They just keep getting bigger and bigger. And of course, we also... If I had daikons that bloomed early, those did not get saved for seed. You know, we thin them down to the best looking of the daikons and then save the seeds from those and thin them out progressively, so you end up with the hopefully the best. The ones that take longer to bloom is preferable because you can actually accidentally breed them for bolting. Yeah. Which would be bad.
It's not a good thing.
But what colors are you seeing now?
A lot of purple and white, definitely.
Are there any of the reds left?
I didn't see any red.
No reds left. Yeah, so after it's like 4th or 5th generation, the red has... It's weird because they almost look like purple top turnips.
They do, yeah. It's very similar, but the flesh is really sweet. It's good.
Yeah, they're crisp and mild. I brought some of those, some of their parents, the Red King, over to a friend of ours, and she said, I don't really like radishes, but I couldn't stop eating those radishes. She sliced them with dip, and she ate them. She's like, I ate a whole plate of radish slices, and I never do that. It's like, that's pretty cool. I think those daikons are just... They're just a superior radish. They're better survival gardener type radish.
Definitely.
Okay, so some people ask you, will you sell mulberry cuttings?
No, because you're gonna kill them. I'm sorry.
That's it.
That's pretty much it.
You don't want to sell anything that people will kill?
Yeah.
They'll give you money.
I feel bad, but they'll give me a bad review too, because they'll kill them. It's a little tricky. There's some stuff that's just not worth selling because it's hard to keep alive if you sell it that way. Mulberries are a little tricky from cuttings.
Yeah, we don't have very good luck with a lot of the varieties we grow. Especially like the better the variety of mulberry, it seems like the harder it is to start from cuttings.
Definitely.
Mostly.
Also, I've had a lot of trouble with the USPS system. Hopefully that's not a bad thing to say. But they have delayed packages significantly, and you don't want that happening when you have live cuttings in there because they're not going to get it.
Yeah, the seeds are going to live.
Yeah. It's a little risky. I've thought about it.
Things like sugarcane cuttings and bulbils from yams and bulbs and things like that, they'll last. But live plants and
a little scary.
Cuttings. I mean, I remember one time taking cuttings and just like leaving them aside for a couple of days and thinking I was going to plant them, and they were just totally ruined. It was over. You know, it's like they're either going to rot or they'll wilt and they won't recover. It's like if you put a little bit of moisture in there, they rot, and then if you don't, they wilt to death and they don't keep their vitality. But the what can we expect for the fall lineup?
Okay, a lot of yams. We're gonna have a lot of different varieties of yams. That's gonna be one of the biggest things. Sugarcane too.
Yep. Yeah, we got at least 3 varieties of sugarcane.
More Tithonia and 2 different varieties of cannas. I have a whole list. I have to go look at it. But
yeah, that's good.
There's a lot of different stuff coming in soon.
The yams were very popular this last fall, but we only had a very limited amount of them. So this year, Daisy planted out like 600 feet of linear rows of different varieties. What varieties do you have?
A lot of bulbifera. Oh my gosh, I have to go out there and look. We've got the Chinese yam.
Chinese yams, yeah.
There was
Ube.
ube. That was it. I knew there was a
Ube,
weird
yeah.
one.
There's another one.
There's one more.
The 5-leaf.
Yeah.
Pentafilla.
It's so weird looking.
Got Pentafilla yam.
You're doing really good.
We discovered last year, somebody sent me a video on Pentafilla, and they were cooking and eating the bulbils off the Pentafilla. So the bulbils on a lot of the yams are edible, but they aren't always palatable. The Chinese yam is really nice because the bulbils, when you fry them, they just taste like tater tots. Fry them with butter and salt or something like that. You know, lard and salt is the way we usually do it. But the Pentafilla has a large bulbil about this big, and they were saying, well, we boiled them and ate them, and they're really good, and they're kind of nutty. And so I boiled some of them.
Yeah.
But I had so few. It's a rare yam that I only wanted to boil a couple because I wanted them all for planting material. But they were delicious. They were almost kind of peanut flavored. Speaking of that, too, I saw you had Apios Americana. So hopefully there should be some Apios Americana, the American groundnut. That's a good one.
More velvet beans. Definitely.
More velvet beans. Yeah, the velvet beans are really taking off in the food forest now. I think it was a month and a half since we posted that video on them, I think, or something like that. And now they're running over the dog fennel and the popcorn tree and conquering them all. So that's pretty cool. Wick589 says, I got a lot of seeds from Etsy. Thought like the other Dioscorea I got they'd be bulbs and not seeds. Not this time. A lot of seeds from Portugal. Neat, but I understand it's hard mode. Yeah, they do. They make these papery little seeds. They make these, if you have one that actually blooms and sets, you need a little longer season for it usually, but they do make little papery seeds. I've never tried to grow them from seed. Imagine if you're developing a new cultivar, but...
The germination rate is probably really bad on that.
Yeah, it's the same thing. You'll see seeds for Coccinea grandis, the perennial cucumber. A lot of times those don't sprout because they're actually from a sterile female. They look like seeds. You dry them, but there's nothing inside. They're dead embryos. They're like seedless watermelons. They're an abomination. And then the other one that people sell seeds for, they sell seeds for sugarcane. Somebody told me they grew out the sugarcane seeds and they got sugarcane. I said, well, that's kind of cool, but that's not the way you normally do it. I don't know how long it takes to make sugarcane that way, or if you'd want to try to do that in a temperate climate. And you'll see seeds for Tithonia diversifolia sometimes, but usually the varieties that we have here in the States are sterile. They don't set viable seeds. And I don't think you'd really want viable seeds. If you actually get a variety with viable seeds, it's a terrible weed in Africa. But if you, like the ones that we've started from cuttings, they never spread unless you take pieces and stick them into the ground. Or if a cane falls over on the ground, it'll root and it'll walk a little ways and start a new one. But they're from seed, I imagine they might be a bit of a pest. So, anything new?
In the shop? Oh my goodness. I have to go look.
You have to go look. We have to pull it up.
Right out my head.
Pull it up right now.
What am I even selling anymore?
What am I even selling? You've got nasturtiums.
Yes.
You've got your mystery seed bundle.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You guys should order that. I throw in some really weird stuff. You never know what you're gonna get, so that's.
Yeah, the Mexican sunflower. That's the Mexican sunflower is Tithonia diversifolia. That's the one that makes the gigantic tall.
They're
vines.
Beautiful.
You've got your mixed marigolds again.
Yes.
You've got moringa seeds again. Oh yeah, I love the cosmos too. Wait a minute.
What?
You've got the Z word in here.
You weren't supposed to see that.
I'm sorry guys, we're gonna have to end this right now. Just get the Z vegetable in her store. It's really insulting.
I'm getting disowned.
Blessed is he who expects no allotted germination, for he will never be disappointed. Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch. Sam says African ebony. Oh, cool. Dalbergia melanoxylon. I planted 50 seeds in 4 different modes and seasons, and only 1 sprouted. That's amazing. That's a very rare tree. I don't think I've ever heard of anybody growing it in the U.S. What is the food value of daikons? What is the best way to include it in a meal?
I dip them in ranch.
You dip them in
I cut
ranch?
them up and dip them in ranch. It's good. They're good raw, but my mom puts them in a lot of different soups and stews. And that's really good too.
Yeah, she'll slice them up and roast them too with butter and salt. They're good that way. They're also really good pickled. If you make kimchi, or if you just chop them into chunks, cover them with a salt brine, they become deliciously sour, tart, crispy in about a week. That's a good one. As for food value, like how many calories it has, they don't have a lot of calories. They're pretty low calorie, but they are very pleasant, and they do make a lot of flesh for, as radishes go, they can get to a couple pounds. You can always call the Z vegetable green squash. Yeah,
green
squash. I came up with different names for it in my videos, and then the people that aren't you guys that have no idea, they just happen to accidentally stumble upon my channel when they're rethinking their lives, drunk at home in an apartment, wishing that they could garden or something, and then they come across it and they're like, what is this? He's not calling that thing the right thing. Why do you call it that? Why do you hate it so much? This reminds me of my mom, and you hate my mom.
I get to make zucchini bread.
No, don't say the word.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You're
gonna get censored. Yeah,
demonetized. Sorry, YouTube.
Ever grows Sakurajima? Did you ever go Sakurajima? I don't really watch anime, so.
I thought that was the woman that traveled North America.
The one that Sakurajima. Yeah, Sakurajima from the Lewis and Clark expedition. Cool. Yeah. Yep. Spin around 3 times and spit for saying that.
No. I didn't mean to. Get my mouth washed out.
It's the giant radish. I think, is that the one that grows in the volcanic soil that gets extremely big? I have some seeds for the gigantic daikon radishes, but they're supposed to be planted at a very specific season. Like, you're supposed to plant them in August, September for the next year, and I've never got the timing right. Every time I look at the package, I'm like, it's spring, and then it says, don't plant in spring. So, yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's cool. So the probably the best experiments that we've done this year with the seeds has been the landrace. The last couple of years, it's been the most fun.
Definitely.
Just get the really random stuff.
You never know what you're gonna get, and that's the best part.
Yeah, you could see things show up that you didn't expect. Like one of the watermelon vines had roots at every node on the vine, and I was like, I've never seen a watermelon do that. It was like grabbing the ground with roots instead of just laying on top of the ground. It was actually rooting from the joints. I was like, hey, that would be a really useful thing for all of them to pick up. We have to treat them even worse next year. Obviously this year we treated them too well because they made tons of fruit. Treat them even worse next year to make them stronger. So if you say the Z word 3 times in a row, it'll fill up your refrigerator.
Oh my gosh.
So, seed business, what do you see yourself doing in the future?
Probably still, I'm gonna definitely expand. I want to buy land, have some different cool stuff. You can tell by my hand-drawn seed packets that I wanted to be an artist, but it's not, it's not gonna make money.
Yeah, the hand-drawn seed packets.
It's not worth it.
She wants to be an artist, kids.
It's so sad. Somebody give me money so I can travel the world and make art. Yeah, it's not happening. I love saving seeds, though. I really enjoy it. I'm gonna keep doing this.
Sam says, as a professional artist, keep at it.
Yes.
Yeah, so every single one of those seed packets is actually an original piece of art, so they're actually worth a lot more.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah. I've told her, I was like, why do you keep drawing every single seed packet? I mean, she's literally, some weeks she's probably shipping a few hundred packets of seeds in a week every single seed packet hand drawn with the name and a little drawing of what the plant is. Yeah. So it's bespoke. It's artisanal.
Yes.
It's the artisanal seed
Handmade.
shop.
Special edition. One day I'm gonna be a famous artist, and all of you beautiful people will have a little piece of my art.
Hey, that's good.
Great.
Oh yeah,
That's
what
a
are the
good thing.
what are the originals?
Right.
Yeah. That's one of the things about the seed business too, is that it's not something that can be replaced by AI.
Exactly.
You know, if you became a graphic designer, if you were going to school for graphic design right now, you'd just be in, like,
There's no way.
it's
can't
like
do
you're on
it.
the Titanic and the band is playing and the boats are all filling up and people are leaving to go work at the coffee shop, you know?
You really have to do something with your hands at this point.
Yeah.
You can't be
It's-
a creative.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more like it's going to be the era of local businesses and mural painting. People go back to oil painting. People will probably be hand binding books, you know, that kind of thing, where you're looking for something that is actually real and connected to human life, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brett says, bingo, you want to beat AI, keep it human. I'd like to see things like local square dances come back. Local square dances, local farmers markets, kind of the anti-Amazon.
Definitely.
People get upset at me sometimes. They say, "Why do you use Amazon?" And actually, I was at one of Doug and Stacy's events on the Mississippi, and they did this little Mississippi cruise afterwards. And Doug said, "Hey, I got you guys tickets. Do you want to come?" I said, "Yeah," because I never would have sprung for that. So I ended up sitting on the top deck at sunset on the Mississippi cruise, and I was sitting next to this delightful woman that was probably in her 50s or so, and she said, I just don't, you know, I don't like that all, you know, that your books are on Amazon. And I said, well, honestly, I said, trying to be an author without using Amazon is like trying to be a truck driver without using the interstate. And she goes, oh,
Yeah.
did you know I was a truck driver? I said, no. She literally had retired from 18-wheeler, driving 18-wheelers. And she goes, I get your point. So sometimes it's like you have to roll with it. Like people have said, why are you on YouTube? You know, YouTube does this, and YouTube has dominated this, and Google does this, and all that stuff. I said, well, where else do I go? You know, there's a lot of other alternative type sites, but some of them have a lot of vile stuff on them. They don't really have the moderation necessarily that you would see on YouTube, such as it is.
They're not well run at all.
And they're not well run. One time I was on an alternative video site and spent a huge amount of time getting all my video content up there and writing all the descriptions and everything, and it ended up crashing something like 6 months later, and I'd put a ton of effort into it. There's hardly any audience, hardly any ad revenue. There's like, you know, you're just kind of stuck with it, right? But you know, it's just one of those things. You got to deal with what you got to deal with. But I do think the kind of business that you're running is it's a real need. People need food. People don't necessarily need artists.
Yeah. It's sad.
It's
but it
sad.
is.
It's yeah. Well, especially when if you everybody will just go and buy AI prints instead. They don't care. They want to put something in their house. If they actually want to go get something, it's going to be like, you know, what is that place? Pottery Barn. You know, the Pottery Barn, the Walmart section where somebody's like, I want a piece of art, and they just grab a piece of prefabricated art and stick it on their wall. It's going to just be all AI. You know, there's not going to be anything left. Printed in China, you know. And then everything online, forget it. It's all AI.
Yeah.
It's over, but the seeds are not
It's done.
AI. The seed packets are
Seeds are
real.
real.
And seeds are real. Hand drawn with real Sharpies.
Yes. Lots of Sharpies.
Yeah. AI seeds are not real. Yeah, humans are always messing over humans. It's true. So, Leo says that's a great goal to have, Daisy. Keep growing your business and buy some land.
Thank you. Yes.
You know, one of those things about plants too. The reason I feel good about being in gardening is if I convince somebody to buy a fruit tree, for example. If I give a talk at Scrubland Farms, like we're going to be doing Scrub Fest coming up. As a matter of fact, I should put a link to that for you guys. Scrub Fest is our big annual event, and it's a big food forest plant sale where we have multiple speakers, and I'm actually going to be singing there this year, so if that makes you want to stay home, well, fine. But at Scrub Fest, if I give a talk on food forests and I say a persimmon tree is a great tree, they're not just buying something for just to consume it. It's like you could sell somebody food, or you could sell somebody a video game or something like that they're just going to consume and that's it. But if you sell somebody a fruit tree and they grow it, in a few years they get more fruit, and then they get more fruit, and then they get more fruit. So it's a better investment than putting your money in a CD or putting your money in the stock market, you know. It actually is going to pay dividends for decades and decades and decades once that tree is happy. And of course, if you buy and you grow seeds and you save your own seeds, just like I did my rant on seedless watermelons, if you the amount of seeds in one watermelon is enough to plant an entire field of watermelons. Hypothetically, you would never need to buy, if you bought one watermelon and you just planted the seeds every year, you would never need to buy watermelons again in your entire life, unless you had a bad year. And you could always save some and put them aside, you know. So, Jonathan says, do you have any Dioscorea with colored flesh? I've seen yellow and purple examples online, but never for sale. Yes.
Which ones?
The ube.
Oh, the ube.
So, yeah, like the Dioscorea alata. Yeah, and I tried growing the yellow ones, so we should have ube this fall.
Hopefully.
They're
actually insane. They've taken over a huge piece of land.
Yeah, they're very aggressive, but I have noticed that the purple varieties of Dioscorea alata are only about half as vigorous as the white varieties. The root is about half the size, deep, rich pink and purple, sometimes with white patches through it, but they're not as vigorous. They don't make as much root. It's great. It's a higher quality and very, very popular in the Filipino community, but it's not as vigorous as the white ones. Yeah, so we have that rich purple. They make all the desserts out of it. Last year I tried to grow Jamaican yellow yam. We got a few yams out of it. They were pretty bitter, and I don't know if they were supposed to be bitter, but I left yams in the ground to see if they would survive over an 8B winter and come back like the alata yams do, but they didn't. They didn't come back at all. Every single one of them, I guess, rotted in the ground. So, any luck with Jabuticaba? Yes. I actually, she's going to probably have Jabuticaba seeds to sell because we have a 6-year-old or 7-year-old Jabuticaba tree that actually has fruit on it right now. It already made its first round of fruit, but the baby and I ate all of them. And it should be making more fruit. But that's one of those fruits where you have to get the seeds from it and plant it within a month or two. So if we do have some available, she'll probably put them up. But
it'll be very short term.
Yes, definitely flowered, definitely fruited. This is the black Jabuticaba, the typical standard Jabuticaba. I also have the hybrid red one that is the faster growing one. It made a couple of fruits, but it's decided to stop fruiting. It's just growing right now. It's been growing the last year without any more fruit. But the black one bloomed, set fruit, set about a dozen fruit the first time, and it's got blooms on it again, and a couple of fruits that it set. So hopefully that one's just going to keep going now. So yeah, it's going to be good. Donald says, the baby and I have eaten all of our ground cherries so far. Sam says, do you have cow's eye jabuticaba? It's a bigger variety. No. Sam at Scrubland Farms may have it. I think he's got a half a dozen varieties of jabuticaba now. He's actually able to grow them outside where he is. He's a half a zone warmer than us, and he's got a sheltered location. Ours have to stay in the greenhouse, and I just have 2 trees that I keep in the greenhouse, and they've been babied for 4 years. So if you have any more seed questions, I will let you ask seed questions. And Daisy, is there anything else you want to say?
Thank you all for supporting my business. I really appreciate it, especially all the nice reviews. They're awesome.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to have some cool varieties coming soon. So follow the shop on Etsy. It'll notify you anytime I add something to the shop. So.
Yeah, she's been putting a lot more. You've been putting a lot more up this year.
Yeah,
I noticed.
I have.
And a lot more comes in the fall here. You're kind of tied to the growing season, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a little difficult because I know like everybody wants to buy seeds at a certain time, but I'm not always going to have seeds at that time. I'm working on moving stuff into the greenhouse, so I'll have more stuff year round, but it is a little tricky.
Yeah, we had a bad winter this year.
It was brutal.
It got down to 11 degrees, and we had 8 or more inches of snow on the ground, which pretty much anything that had above ground growth that was somewhat cold sensitive got knocked out. So, yeah.
Tobacco seeds, yes. I will have tobacco seeds very soon.
Okay, good.
I had up around like last week. I need to redo them.
Yeah, the tobacco seeds, we had a couple of varieties of tobacco that planted in the grocery row gardens a year or 2 ago, and they started self-seeding. And so the tobacco just keeps coming back by itself, and it's been showing up in the greenhouse too, which is cool.
They're
I guess
awesome.
if, each plant makes like tens of thousands of seeds, and a few of them manage to grow themselves. But if you grow them yourself, you can get a much higher germination rate. It's just whatever happens to show up has been the ones that have lived in my gardens. But yeah, we had a lot of tobacco seeds last year.
We did.
Most difficult seed to save?
Probably the Everglades tomatoes. It's not difficult. It's just takes time.
The processing.
The whole processing it's time consuming, but it's not.
What do you have
bad.
to do to save them?
I have to go gather them all from the garden, which they're everywhere, spread all over the place, and then crush them into a container and let them ferment for a couple days. So all the pulp rises to the top, and then they're super clean, and then I just dry them out. So it's not that tricky. It just takes a couple days.
And you have to hope that your siblings don't throw out the bucket because it's like it looks like a
yeah,
swamp bucket.
every other round, seeds keep disappearing. It's very strange. The velvet beans, those are not fun to crack open. But,
no, they are hard to crack open.
Yeah. What is the most sold seeds? Definitely Everglades tomatoes. After that, probably the watermelons. I would say. When
Yeah,
it goes
landrace
to,
watermelons have been good.
Tithonia and cannas and the yams too.
Yeah, those biomass cannas they're the really vigorous canna. They get 6 or more foot tall, and they make a big clump, and then we chopped them and dropped them and chopped them and dropped them. And then Daisy sold almost all the ones I had and only left us with a couple of little clumps, so it's kind of bringing the variety back now.
Yeah, I have some in my garden that are like 8 foot tall now.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
We're gonna have some.
That's good. It just takes time.
It does.
And sometimes you don't really know what's going to sell. So if you produce
Yeah.
a ton of something and then it's like...
I've had that happen. The marigolds do not sell very well, but I love the flowers, so it's tricky.
Yeah, I saw you had you had more zinnias this year.
Yes, I do have zinnias.
Yeah, Donald says let me know when you have more canna. Yeah, if you're on the Etsy store, You can get notified. You just subscribe to it.
It should notify you if you follow my shop anytime I add something new. And if you like an item, if it goes out of stock, it should notify you.
Yeah.
And it'll be back.
The radish seeds are not really that hard to process. It's just a matter of letting them dry on the plant and then catching them before they shatter on their own and spread all over the garden. They always reseed where they've been the year before if you let them go to seed. But if I wait until they're mostly dried out and then cut the seed stalk and hang it and let them all dry, you basically just shatter them all off into a big bucket or something, and then you just put your hands in them and you just keep crumbling them and crumbling them and crumbling them to get the shells off. And then you put a fan blowing across a big bowl or something, and you just keep going like this and letting the chaff blow off of the seeds, and eventually you can get clean seeds. You get down to them in the bottom of a container and you can go and blow the rest of the chaff off of them, and you have really nice clean seeds. You just got to make sure that you let them dry out well first, because if they're still green pods, they just don't work. So if you could sell packs of bundled seeds, folks would love it.
Yes, that is not a bad idea. I've thought about it. Especially with the flowers.
Jensen Family Homestead says, do you have winter squash seeds in your store, pumpkins or butternut or any other?
I don't yet, but I will soon. I have the Z word, which is a relative. But we will have pumpkins very soon.
Yeah, that's another one of those seasonal ones. Sometimes they just sell out. So actually, if you see something in her store, sometimes she only has a really limited amount of something. Like I think the Kakuza was earlier in the year.
Yeah, we only had a few of those.
You still have loofahs?
Yes, we have loofahs.
Yeah, loofahs are good.
Those are awesome.
Loofah's pretty indestructible. It's almost like a weed. It'll self-seed and come back in the garden. So does the velvet bean. The velvet bean will self-seed if you just leave it alone. It seems to go through, the seeds survive all of the freezes and the rains and everything in the pods, and then they break out and they fall at some point. And they end up sprouting all over the garden and coming back, which is good. They're not annoying like kudzu is. It's pretty easy to just knock them down. They don't make bulbs beneath the ground or anything, and the frosts kill them. But if you have the seeds laying around, they'll self-seed. So yeah, we try to produce as many seeds as possible here, and then if I've got an experiment going on and there's extra, Daisy gets it, like with the landrace corn. And I actually grew out the velvet beans for her this last year because I wanted more to put out in the food forest, and I realized nobody really had the velvet beans, so I grew extras, and we got a lot more of them. So yeah, Derek has a good plant nursery as well. He's shared a lot with us over the years. We did a plant trade at the last event we were both at, which was a lot of fun. He had the weirdest selection of interesting plants, and I traded him some of mine that he didn't have, and we kind of went back and forth. I've got his plants all over my yard now. So I've actually posted Derek's store before too. It's good. It's like one of those side sort of things that you can do in your backyard, a little plant nursery or something. But I don't think the level of dedication that Daisy has put into this store, it's her full-time work.
Yes.
So no working other jobs.
No. Not happening.
You stay busy, especially through this time of year. So
yes, it's crazy. Is there a landrace variety of homegrown daisies? No, I can't grow daisies to save my life. I wish.
You've tried.
I have tried almost every year, and they've never even germinated for me. I can grow any other plant. That's the only one that doesn't like me.
They don't seem to like our area. The only one that I've seen growing well here is the oxeye daisy that shows up in pastures by the side of the road sometimes.
Yeah.
And I planted a clump of them here at the edge of the food forest, and they bloomed and then they died. So,
Yeah. Up north, they're everywhere.
yeah.
It's very sad. We don't have that.
We don't really have the wildflowers down here that they
No.
have up north.
There's not that much diversity in flowers.
Yeah. A lot of pines, a lot of Yaupon holly,
Yep.
a lot of poison ivy. But really not a lot of good wildflowers. And sometimes when you come across something that looks like a beautiful wildflower, you find out that it's an invasive.
Yeah.
It just worked its way in here. There's an oxalis that spreads all over the place here that's really, really a pest. And it has the most beautiful little pink flowers. You see it by the sides of the road in a big clump. I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. I had to stop and look at it. It was like, oh, I know this one.
Mm-hmm.
There was this older lady, and she said, I had a bunch of potted plants up on my porch, and they all got these little heart-shaped leaves in them like a clover, and all of them, they was making these little pink flowers, but I didn't plant those seeds there, and I don't know where they came from, but they're all over my yard, too. I said, what is that? I said, well, that's the invasive oxalis. Well, how'd they get up on my porch in my pots? I said, well, they put up a seed pod that actually shoots seeds out of it. It's like a machine gun. When it's ready, it's like poop, 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 poop. And it actually is, they shoot like the speed of sound across your yard. And they'll throw these seeds for, 10 feet or more. So if they're down there in your yard and there's one of them, all over the place. So, yeah, the dump said, you do that voice a little too well. We used to have this lady that would drive through our backyard in her golf cart. What y'all doing back there? What y'all doing? What you playing over there? What's that big mess you made? It's like, oh, that's the compost pile. That's gonna bring some snakes in. That's gonna bring some snakes.
Yep.
It's like, oh yeah, I don't think so. Oh, it will. You gotta put sulfur on your property. I'm like, okay, yeah. Don't report me.
Great.
But she literally drive the golf cart around through the backyard.
Yeah.
It is pretty funny. Sam Smith says, do you all know what jabuticaba means in Tupi, the indigenous language of Brazil? It means the tortoise gathering place because they would reach up with their long necks to eat the trunk fruit. Hey now! That's cool. I just thought it was like, it meant crepe myrtle that you glued gumballs on. Because that's exactly what it looks like. The tortoise gathering place. It would be really funny if we named plants, like in English, we always have a name for a plant. Like, that's an aster, or something like that. But if we called it fluffy purple flower plant
that makes more sense.
That girls like,
Yeah.
But...
Carl says, I moved a little gray rat snake in my yard today. They're so cute. I love the rat snakes so much.
Yeah, I like
They're
them
adorable.
too. I like them too. Have a good night, Derek. The growing mom says, hey, I have a problem. I'm sorry.
What does that mean?
CIB8282 sends a super chat. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Been enjoying the vids and live streams lately. Keep up the good work. Oh, yeah. Hey, I appreciate it. I like doing the lives. We just, we would usually pray together in the evening as a family and eat dinner, and we just sort of rearranged our schedule again a little bit so we could do some of these things earlier, and I could do the live streams again because it's fun. I kind of miss talking to everybody, and people kept requesting, would you do live streams? Would you do live streams? Would you do live streams? So, yeah, thank you for posting Daisy's shop. Much appreciated.
Yes.
If you guys want to get heirloom seeds and some of our landrace variety experiments and cuttings and some other things, that is Daisy's store. I'm very proud of her. She's been running the store for 4 years, and it's been super cool to have her kind of launch out on her own and start her own business. And her plan is she's saving money, she's planning for the future, and she is looking to buy some land of her own where she could actually farm more of her own seeds. So
Yes,
it would be super cool.
absolutely.
Let's see what we got. Adam says, what pumpkin varieties would you landrace to improve taste? Good question. What are the best tasting pumpkins?
Probably the Seminoles. Honestly.
Yeah, and some of the
really
Seminoles,
good.
some of the Seminoles are really good, and some of them are bland.
That is true.
Like, we've had some of them that were pretty bland, even though they were very vigorous. We used to have a couple of varieties of Seminole that had really good flavor, and then there was one that had good flavor, but it had a very large seed cavity on the inside, so the flesh was only about that thick. A little pumpkin, like, the flesh is little. I think the best flavored of the machadas is probably the butternut. And I've heard very good things about the candy roaster. So if you crossed Seminole pumpkins with butternut and candy roaster, you would get that really sweet potato pie type flavor out of them.
It's good.
But sometimes we want, like some of our pumpkins that are more, you want a dense flesh that's not stringy, that's starchy, so you could use it for a more starchy vegetable instead of everything always being sweet. Like if you're going to make a stew with beef or something and you didn't want it to be a sweet stew, you would look for the starchier varieties. Well, one of the best things you can do is just taste different varieties. And even though it's not the most efficient way to breed, you could plant, say, 10 varieties of Cucurbita maxima all together, let them all cross. All the ones that you like the flavor of, save the seeds from those. Any ones you don't like the flavor or the cavity size or anything, get rid of them. And then after a few generations, you would start to breed for the ones that have the best flavor. If you wanted to be really precise about it, you could take existing heirloom varieties that you liked and deliberately cross the flowers. Or if you had one, like you wanted to cross a Seminole pumpkin with a, a candy roaster, you could get out there early in the morning and cross the male and the female flowers, and then mark those with a ribbon and shut them so the bees don't get in and change anything. Hopefully you've just got it right. You want to get them like right as they open and pollinate them first, so the seeds in there are going to be exactly what they are. So you could do that, or you could just simply save from the ones that taste the best, and hopefully it's just going to adjust over a few years and you'll get them. So I think candy roaster, let me see. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong one. Now you got me wondering. I thought it was a... Oh, it is a Maxima! Oh, shucks! You're right, it's a Maxima. Good catch. Yeah, you could not cross that one. What is the one I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of the... Wait a second. There's one...
Oh yeah, that's good.
Is this the one?
Those
I
are
think it's
cool.
the banana squash. The sweet banana. I think the sweet banana is a Cucurbita machata. That may be the one I'm thinking of. But you're right, candy roaster would not cross. So if you wanted to breed that candy roaster flavor into something else and maybe get even more vigorous varieties, you could then go ahead and cross it with Hubbards or any of those other Maximas. So, yeah, definitely. Good job. Good job. You out-Latined me. So, yeah, I think that's about it for seeds and plants.
Yes.
Now you have to sing.
Pretty easy. No.
What are you gonna sing?
I'm an artist, not a singer.
Yeah, visual art.
Visual art.
If you don't mind nepotism and want to support my daughter's seed store, click the link above and buy some seeds. It's about local, sustainable varieties. It's about saving the planet. Click and buy some, 'cause it's definitely not about greed.
That's good.
right, y'all. Have a good night.
Gosh.
God bless you all. Have a
Yes.
have a wonderful evening. Catch y'all. Won't be on tomorrow probably unless I do a stream earlier in the day because we got something going on. But we gotta try and keep doing these live streams. Be sure and go give everybody a really say some nice encouraging things to all the people that like seedless watermelons on my last video. Make sure you encourage them all in their delusions about how wonderful seedless are. We want to just affirm them, affirm their life choices, their choices of sterility and science gone bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a good night. God bless y'all. And
Good night.
until next time, may your thumbs always be green.